When you think of war, you picture tanks charging forward, fighter jets screaming through the skies, and missiles lighting up the night. But behind every missile strike, behind every drone that finds its target with surgical precision, lies a hidden network of devices that never fire a single bullet. They don't roar like jets or blast like cannons. They orbit in silence, compute in shadows, and listen when no one else can. These are the silent guardians of modern warfare: satellites, command planes, radar arrays, supercomputers. Machines so powerful, so vital, that without them, even the most advanced army would be blind, deaf, and helpless. Today, we reveal the unseen power players of global conflict, the 8 most expensive military devices that don't fight, but make sure their side always wins. Let's begin. 1. Military satellites. High above the earth, beyond clouds and borders, orbit silent machines that watch the world without blinking. These are military satellites, the invisible sentinels of modern warfare. They don't carry weapons, but they're among the most powerful tools on the battlefield. Equipped with advanced sensors, high-resolution cameras, and infrared systems, military satellites can track missile launches the moment they happen, detect hidden bases, even intercept enemy communications. Systems like the US SPIRS and KH-121 offer real-time surveillance, global intelligence, and early missile warning, providing commanders with the eyes and ears they need to react before it's too late. They guide precision bombs to moving targets, coordinate operations across continents, and feed battlefield data directly into command centers thousands of miles away. And each satellite comes at a steep cost, some reaching over $2 billion to build, launch, and maintain. But their value goes far beyond the price tag. In today's wars, the side with better space dominance holds the high ground. Because in the age of digital combat, whoever sees first, decides first. 2. E for B Night Watch. When nuclear war becomes reality. When ground command is wiped out, one plane takes control. This is the E for B Night Watch, America's airborne command center, built for one purpose: to lead the nation in its darkest hour. Nicknamed the Doomsday plane, it's a heavily modified Boeing 747, outfitted with radiation shielding, hardened electronics, and global communication arrays. From inside this flying fortress, top military leaders, including the president, can issue nuclear launch commands, coordinate with submarines, satellites, and bombers, and wage a full-scale war without touching the ground. The E for B is designed to survive an EMP blast, operate without ground support, and stay airborne for days thanks to mid-air refueling. There are only 4 of these in existence, each costing nearly $1 billion, and at least one is on 24/7 alert, ready to launch within minutes if global conflict breaks out. It doesn't drop bombs, it doesn't fire missiles, but it commands those who do. Because when everything else falls, this plane stays in the sky. 3. Early warning radar systems. War no longer begins with the roar of guns, but with a silent launch, far beyond the horizon. When a ballistic missile rises into the sky, you have only minutes to react. And in those critical moments, early warning radars become your first and only line of defense. These massive installations, like the American and FPS-132 or Russia's Voronezh DM, can track incoming threats from over 5,000 kilometers away. They scan the skies 24/7, sweeping for signs of missiles, stealth aircraft, or hypersonic weapons, anything that moves, anything that threatens. They don't attack, they don't intercept, but they see. Before anything else does, with this early warning, interceptors can be launched, cities can be evacuated, and decisions can be made, seconds before devastation. A radar that misses means a target that's hit. Each system costs over $1 billion, and yet they never fire a single shot. Because in modern warfare, survival depends not on strength alone, but on how early you see the danger coming. 4. Encrypted military communication networks. In today's battlefield, communication is everything. Orders, coordinates, surveillance feeds. The entire war machine depends on split-second data flowing seamlessly across the globe. But if the enemy hears you, you're already losing. That's why encrypted military networks are now the lifeblood of modern warfare. Systems like Link 1 to 6, WINT, and the U.S. military's next-generation JADC to connect satellites, drones, fighter jets, ground troops, submarines, and nuclear command, all through secure, real-time channels. These networks allow forces to coordinate strikes from thousands of miles away, direct missile defense systems, and issue launch commands without ever risking interception. A breach in this system could expose entire operations. A delay could mean disaster. Building and maintaining these networks costs billions, but without them, even the most advanced army becomes blind, deaf, and paralyzed. In the wars of the 21st century, the side that communicates faster, clearer, and safer owns the battlefield, because the real weapon is information itself. 5. Military supercomputers. Wars aren't just fought on battlefields anymore. They're calculated, simulated, and predicted, in silence. Behind locked doors and firewalls thicker than steel, military supercomputers run billions of equations per second. They simulate nuclear detonations, model hypersonic flight, optimize missile trajectories, and even test weapons that will never physically exist. In the United States, supercomputers like Sierra and El Capitan work for the Department of Energy and the Department of Defense, processing sensitive defense data speeds beyond human comprehension. Their computing power ensures the reliability of nuclear arsenals without actual detonations, preserving deterrence while avoiding destruction. China, Russia, and other powers are racing to match that digital dominance, pouring billions into military-grade computing for AI, cryptography, and cyber warfare. These machines don't carry guns, but they calculate the path of every bullet, the timing of every launch, and the odds of every move. They cost hundreds of millions of dollars, but in return, they provide something priceless: strategic certainty in an unpredictable world. 6. Strategic command ships. At sea, warships bring the firepower, but one vessel brings the brain. Strategic command ships are floating nerve centers, designed to coordinate entire fleets, joint operations, and even nuclear responses from international waters. They don't carry massive guns or missile bays. Instead, they carry communication towers, data centers, encrypted control rooms, and full-spectrum command capabilities. The United States Navy operates the USS Mount Whitney, the flagship of the Sixth Fleet, capable of commanding air, land, and naval forces simultaneously. Russia once deployed the massive SSB-33 Ural, and China is now building its own command ships as part of its blue water ambitions. These ships are built to survive electronic warfare, cyber attacks, and even operate independently when satellites and ground links go dark. They serve as floating headquarters, capable of directing a war far from any national border. Each costs upwards of $1 billion, but their true value is measured in control, coordination, and uninterrupted leadership in the chaos of conflict. Because when every second matters, and every decision shapes a battlefield, command must be mobile, secure, and unstoppable. And that's exactly what these ships deliver. 7. Secret weapons laboratories. Some of the most powerful weapons ever created were not built on the battlefield, but in silence, behind sealed doors. Secret weapons laboratories are the birthplace of modern military power, where science and strategy meet behind layers of clearance and concrete. In the United States, places like Los Alamos, Sandia, and Lawrence Livermore simulate nuclear detonations, test advanced explosives, and model classified defense systems without ever lighting a fuse. These labs develop hypersonic gliders, directed energy weapons, cyber warfare algorithms, and next-generation AI targeting systems. They also run supercomputers, particle accelerators, and biocontainment facilities, all under the strictest security on Earth. Russia has its Vienna IEF Institute. China maintains hidden sites across Gansu and Sichuan. Each one feeds its nation's future arsenal, without ever being seen. Their operations are expensive, billions in funding, decades in development, but what they create shapes decades of global power. 8. Aerial refueling tankers. Speed, range, and endurance win wars. And in the skies, nothing extends those limits like aerial refueling. Aerial refueling tankers are the unsung lifeline of every global air operation. They don't drop bombs or fire missiles, but without them, fighter jets, bombers, and surveillance planes would never reach the fight. Aircraft like the KC-135 Stratotanker and the KC-46 Pegasus can transfer tens of thousands of gallons of fuel mid-flight, allowing combat aircraft to stay airborne for 10, 15, even 20 hours without landing. This capability enables long-range bombing missions, 24-hour air patrols, rapid deployment across oceans, and extended drone operations, all without a runway in sight. In high-threat environments, they operate from secure air corridors far from the front lines, yet they directly shape every mission that unfolds above the battlefield. Each tanker costs $200 to $300 million, and countries like the US, UK, France, and China invest heavily in building and protecting their aerial refueling fleets. Because in modern air warfare, the mission doesn't end when the fuel runs low, it keeps going, thanks to the invisible giants that carry the fight farther. They don't strike targets, but they make every strike possible.